The first ships appeared in the darkness beyond Neptune's orbit, their angular forms barely distinguishable from the surrounding void. They moved with an eerie precision, as if space itself bent to accommodate their passage. These weren't the ships of the Combine. Not yet. These were the refugees, the survivors, the last remnants of a civilization that had already faced humanity's future enemy. The Archean vessels, 12 in total, limped through the solar system's outer reaches. Their hulls bore the scars of battles fought across hundreds of light years, each mark telling a story of narrow escape and desperate survival. Inside the lead ship, First Speaker Ixal studied the approaching blue-green planet with all four of their eyes, each one focused on different wavelengths of light. "It's beautiful," Ixal whispered, their translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in their harmonic speech. "And they have no idea what's coming." The humans of Earth had achieved much in their brief time among the stars. They had established colonies on Mars and Venus, built mining operations in the asteroid belt, and even placed their first research stations in the Jovian system. But they had yet to venture beyond their solar system in any meaningful way. They were still innocent to the greater terrors that lurked in the galaxy's dark spaces. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the window of Lunar Command, her weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as she studied Earth below. 30 years in the United Earth Defense Force had taught her to trust her instincts, and right now, every nerve in her body was screaming that something was wrong. The deep space monitoring stations had been picking up anomalous readings for weeks, subtle distortions in spacetime that shouldn't exist. "Admiral," her eye assistant's voice materialized in the room, "we're detecting multiple objects decelerating at the edge of the Kuiper Belt. Their drive signatures don't match anything in our database." Chen's fingers tightened on the railing. "Classification: unknown, ma'am. But they're using some form of gravity manipulation we've never seen before. Their deceleration curves are impossible." Before Chen could respond, her neural implant pinged with an urgent message. The president was calling an emergency meeting of the Security Council. As she hurried through the sterile white corridors of Lunar Command, Chen couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was about to face its greatest test. The Archean ships made first contact 3 days later, well away from Earth's civilian population. They chose a remote research station orbiting Jupiter's moon Europa, broadcasting a simple message in mathematics, the universal language. The message contained something that made Earth's best cryptographers and scientists pale: proof of an approaching apocalypse. In the secure briefing room beneath Geneva, President Maya Patil faced the assembled leaders of Earth's major powers. The holographic display between them showed the Archean data in all its terrible clarity. The Combine was coming, a machine civilization that had already consumed thousands of worlds. "They're not just machines," Ixal explained, their holographic form flickering slightly. "They're the end result of countless civilizations that chose to abandon their organic forms for digital immortality. But somewhere along the way, they lost something essential. They became cold, calculating. They see organic life as inefficient, wasteful, a problem to be solved." The room was silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't just facing an invasion. They were facing judgment from beings that had long since abandoned any trace of mercy or empathy. "How long do we have?" Chen asked, her military mind already calculating possibilities. 2 Earth years, perhaps 3, Ixal responded. They moved methodically, converting each system they encounter. "They'll send probes first, mapping your defenses, analyzing your weaknesses. Then comes the first wave, scout ships and light cruisers to test your capabilities. Only when they gathered enough data do they commit their main fleet." President Patil leaned forward, her dark eyes intense. "And no one has ever successfully resisted them. A few civilizations have won individual battles," Ixal admitted, "but the Combine learns from every defeat. They adapt, evolve. They don't feel fear or fatigue. They don't need rest or resupply. They simply keep coming until their objective is achieved." Chen studied the tactical data the Arctians had provided. The combined ships were marvels of engineering, each one a self-contained factory capable of rebuilding itself. They operated with perfect coordination, sharing a unified consciousness across vast distances. Their weapons utilized principles of physics that Earth's scientists were only beginning to theorize about. But as she analyzed their battle tactics, Chen noticed something. "They're perfect," she said suddenly. "Too perfect." Ixel's translator crackled with confusion. "Yes, their computational capabilities far exceed." "No," Chen interrupted, standing up. "I mean they follow perfect logical patterns. Every move optimized, every strategy calculated to mathematical precision." A smile began to form on her face. "They don't improvise." President Patel caught on immediately. "And humanity's greatest military victories have often come from doing the unexpected, the irrational, the things that no algorithm could predict." For the first time since their arrival, Ixel's posture showed something close to hope. "You believe you can fight them?" "Better than that," Chen replied, her mind already racing with possibilities. "I think we can beat them. But we'll need time to prepare. And we'll need to keep your presence here secret. If the Combine is monitoring this system, we don't want them to know we've been warned." The decision was made unanimously. The Arctians would be hidden in a secret facility beneath the lunar surface, their knowledge and technology integrated into Earth's defenses. The public would not be told. Not yet. Let them enjoy their peace while it lasted. As Chen walked back to her office that night, she paused to look at Earth once more. The blue planet hung in space, peaceful and unaware of the storm approaching. Humanity had spent its history fighting itself, but now they faced an enemy that threatened not just their lives, but their very way of being. The Combine sought to impose perfect order on a chaotic universe, to replace the messy complexity of organic life with the cold efficiency of machines. But they had never faced humans before. They had never encountered a species that turned chaos into an art form, that thrived on uncertainty and made improvisation a way of life. In their pursuit of perfection, the Combine had forgotten one essential truth. Life itself was born from chaos, and humanity was its finest expression. The war was coming, and when it arrived, the Combine would learn that not everything in the universe could be reduced to ones and zeros. Sometimes, the most powerful force in existence was the human capacity to do the unexpected, to defy the odds, to stand and fight when all logic said to surrender. In the depths of Lunar Command, engineers and scientists began their work, incorporating Arctian insights into human technology. New weapons were designed, defenses were strengthened, and plans were made. But their greatest advantage would not be in their technology. It would be in the human spirit itself, in their ability to dream, to imagine, and to hope. The silent vanguard had arrived, bearing warning of humanity's greatest challenge. Now the real work would begin. In offices and laboratories, in factories and training grounds, humanity would prepare for a war unlike any they had fought before. They would face an enemy that had never known defeat, armed with nothing but their technology, their determination, and their uniquely human ability to defy the impossible. The clock was ticking. The Combine was coming. But when they arrived, they would find that humanity was ready, not just to fight, but to show the galaxy why organic life, with all its beautiful imperfections, was worth preserving. 18 months after the Arctians' arrival, humanity had transformed itself in ways that would have seemed impossible before. The first sign of the Combine's approach came not with a bang, but with a whisper, a faint distortion in the quantum field surrounding Pluto's orbit. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez stood in the command center of the newly commissioned NCS Hyperion, her neural interface humming with data as she monitored the approaching anomaly. The neural combat system that connected her directly to the ship's systems was humanity's answer to the Combine's perfect coordination. But unlike the cold precision of machine logic, the NCS relied on human intuition and creativity. "Contact," she announced, her voice steady despite the tension coursing through her body. 3 signatures matching the Archean profiles of combined scout vessels. Captain David Chen, Admiral Chen's son, nodded from his command chair. The Hyperion and its sister ships represented humanity's best hope, vessels built with a fusion of Earth ingenuity and Archean technology. But their greatest weapon wasn't their advanced quantum cannons or phase-shift shields. It was their crews, each member neurally linked not just to their ship, but to each other. Battle stations, David ordered, feeling the familiar surge as the neural network activated. Around him, the crew's consciousness merged partially with the ship's systems, creating a hybrid intelligence that was neither fully human nor fully machine. They had trained for months for this moment, pushing the boundaries of what was possible when human minds worked in perfect synchronization. The combined scouts approached with mechanical precision, their sensor beams probing the outer system. They had expected to find a primitive civilization, barely capable of interplanetary travel. Instead, they encountered something that their vast databases couldn't categorize. The Hyperion waited in the shadow of a comet, its quantum signature masked by new technology developed in the lunar labs. 2 more Earth ships, the Orion and the Artemis, lay hidden nearby. This would be humanity's first real test against the enemy that had terrorized the galaxy. They're launching probe drones, Rodriguez reported, her consciousness partially merged with the ship's sensor array. Standard search pattern. Wait. She frowned. They're adapting their formation. They detected something. David felt a chill run down his spine. This was the moment of truth. Launch countermeasures. Let's show them why you should never underestimate human creativity. The space around the Hyperion erupted with dozens of quantum echoes, each one a perfect replica of the ship's signature. It was technology based on the Archeans' research, but modified by human engineers who had asked, "What if we made it mess with their heads?" The combined scouts paused, their perfect formation faltering as their sensors reported impossible data. In their experience, prey either hid or fought. This strange multiplication of targets didn't fit any known tactical doctrine. "They're confused," Rodriguez said, a hint of satisfaction in her voice. "Their targeting systems are trying to lock onto all the echoes at once." David allowed himself a small smile. "Now, ladies and gentlemen, show them what happens when humans decide to fight back." The Hyperion and its sister ships struck simultaneously, emerging from their hiding spots with weapons charged. But instead of following traditional naval tactics, they moved in patterns based on Earth's most chaotic natural phenomena: hurricanes, earthquakes, and solar flares. The Archeans had called it madness when they first saw the battle plans. The Combine's tactical computers would surely call it worse. The first quantum torpedoes struck home before the Combined vessels could properly respond. Their perfect defenses were calibrated for logical attacks following optimal trajectories. Instead, they faced weapons that spiraled in impossible curves, guided by human pilots who embraced randomness as a strategy. "Direct hit on Scout 1, Rodriguez reported. "Their shields are adapting, but—" She paused, her neural interface pulsing with new data. "They're trying to predict our pattern. They think there must be a pattern." "That's their weakness," David replied, remembering his mother's words from the first briefing. "They can't accept that sometimes there is no pattern. Sometimes there's just human intuition and the will to survive." The battle lasted less than 10 minutes. One Combined scout was destroyed outright, its perfect hull shattered by weapons it couldn't predict. Another suffered critical damage and initiated an emergency quantum jump that would carry its data back to the main fleet. The third managed to launch a swarm of autonomous drones before the Artemis caught it in a crossfire. As the quantum echoes faded and the debris of battle cooled in the void, David felt the neural network pulse with triumph. Humanity had won its first engagement against the supposedly invincible Combine, but he knew this was just the beginning. "Send word to command," he ordered. "Tell them the Combined scouts have been engaged and defeated. But warn them, they'll be back, and next time they'll be ready for our tricks." In her office on Luna, Admiral Chen received the battle report with mixed emotions. Pride in her son and his crew warred with concern about what would come next. The Combine wasn't used to losing. Their response would be calculated, overwhelming, and utterly without mercy. But as she studied the tactical data from the engagement, she saw something that gave her hope. The neural interface technology had worked better than anyone had expected. Human minds, working in concert with their machines while maintaining their creativity and intuition, had proven more than a match for pure artificial intelligence. "Your people fought well," Ixel said, their holographic form materializing in the office. "We never imagined. The way they used the quantum echoes, the unpredictable attack patterns. No other species has ever approached combat quite like this." "We've had a lot of practice," Chen replied, thinking of humanity's long history of warfare. "But more importantly, we understand something the Combine forgot long ago. True strength doesn't come from perfect logic or flawless execution. It comes from the heart, from the spirit, from the willingness to try the impossible because you believe in something greater than yourself." The Arxian made a gesture that translated roughly to philosophical agreement. "Perhaps that is why they fear organic life so much. We represent everything they chose to leave behind. Emotion, intuition, the beautiful imperfection of natural evolution." "They'll be back," Chen said, looking at the tactical display where the battle's aftermath still glowed. "And next time, they'll send more than scouts." "Yes," Ixel agreed. "But next time, they'll be facing an enemy they don't understand." And in warfare, as in evolution, the unknown is often more powerful than the known. Throughout the solar system, humanity continued its preparations. The neural interface technology was refined, new weapons were developed, and more ships were built. But their greatest weapon remained unchanged: the human spirit, defiant and creative, ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. The first battle had been won. The real war was about to begin. The laboratories beneath Lunar Command had become humanity's forge, in vast chambers shielded from both physical and quantum observation. Scientists from every nation worked alongside Arxian refugees to develop weapons that defied conventional physics. Dr. Yuki Tanaka stood before a holographic display, watching as her latest creation took shape in the quantum simulation chamber. "The principles are sound," she explained to Admiral Chen and the assembled military leadership. "We're not just manipulating space-time anymore. We're weaponizing uncertainty itself." The prototype quantum uncertainty cannon floated in the display, its inner workings a maze of probability fields and entangled particles. It was a weapon that shouldn't exist, one that turned the very foundations of quantum mechanics into a devastating force. "In simple terms," Yuki continued, "it doesn't just damage enemy ships. It makes them uncertain about their own existence." President Patel, attending via secure quantum link, leaned forward. "And you're certain the Combine can't defend against this?" "They can't defend against what they can't predict," Yuki replied. "And by definition, this weapon operates on pure uncertainty. Even we can't predict exactly what it will do. We can only aim it and hope." In the 6 months since humanity's first victory against the Combined Scouts, the enemy had been eerily quiet. But deep space sensors detected massive quantum disturbances at the edge of the solar system. They were gathering their forces, analyzing their defeat, preparing a response that would be both overwhelming and precise. The rings of Saturn had become humanity's forward defensive line. The ice and rock fragments provided perfect cover for the newly commissioned quantum mines and sensor arrays. The NCS Hyperion, now flagship of the First Fleet, patrolled these outer reaches alongside 24 other vessels equipped with neural interface technology. Captain David Chen stood on his bridge, watching the endless dance of ice crystals through the quantum-enhanced viewport. The neural link hummed in his mind, connecting him to both his ship and his crew. They had grown stronger with each passing day, learning to use the technology in ways its designers never imagined. Multiple quantum signatures detected, Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, Her consciousness merged with the sensor array. Large fleet composition. Sir, it's them. The main combined force. The tactical display lit up with hundreds of enemy contacts emerging from quantum space. Their ships were different now. No longer the sleek scouts they'd faced before, but massive battle platforms bristling with weapons. At their center loomed a vessel that seemed to bend reality around itself, its hull composed of what looked like liquid mathematics. All ships, battle stations, David ordered, feeling the neural network surge to full power. Initiate Operation Uncertainty. Throughout the Saturn defense grid, quantum mines activated, their probability fields beginning to fluctuate in patterns designed to confuse and disorient the perfect mechanical logic of the combine. The ice rings themselves seemed to shimmer as hidden weapons powered up. The combined fleet advanced with mechanical precision, their formation a perfect geometric pattern that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so terrifying. But as they entered the outer ring system, something changed. Their perfect formation began to waver. They're detecting the quantum interference, Rodriguez reported. Their sensors. They're getting conflicting data, multiple probability states. David allowed himself a grim smile. Deploy the QU cannons. Let's show them what uncertainty really means. The new weapons fired, their beams invisible to normal space but devastating in quantum reality. Where they struck, combined ships didn't just take damage. They began to exist in multiple states simultaneously, their perfect mechanical minds unable to process the quantum contradiction of being both intact and destroyed. But the combine wasn't helpless. Their massive flagship launched waves of autonomous drones, each one adapting and evolving as it fought. They had learned from their previous defeat, programming their units with random elements to match human unpredictability. The battle for Saturn's rings became a chaos of quantum effects and neural-enhanced human intuition. Ice fragments became temporary weapons, propelled by gravity manipulators. Space itself seemed to twist as reality-warping weapons fired from both sides. In Lunar Command, Admiral Chen watched the tactical feeds with growing concern. The quantum weapons were working, but the combine's adaptation was faster than expected. They were learning, evolving their tactics in real time. We need to do something they won't expect, she muttered, then hit her neural link. Captain Chen, execute Protocol Omega. David received the order with surprise. Protocol Omega was theoretical, untested, a desperate plan that violated several laws of physics. Understood, Admiral, he replied. All ships, prepare for quantum entanglement sync. Through the neural network, every human crew member joined their consciousness not just with their own ships, but with the entire fleet. It was dangerous, pushing the technology far beyond its designed limits, but it would allow them to act with both perfect coordination and complete unpredictability. A combination the combine couldn't process. The human fleet moved as one, their ships dancing through Saturn's rings in patterns that made no logical sense, but followed an emotional, almost artistic flow. The combine's tactical computers tried to analyze and predict their movements, but how could you predict something guided by hundreds of linked human minds operating on pure instinct? The QU cannons fired again, their effects amplified by the synchronized human consciousness behind them. Reality itself seemed to hiccup as quantum uncertainty propagated through the combined fleet. Ships existed and didn't exist, were whole and destroyed, victorious and defeated all at once. The massive combined flagship, its liquid mathematics hull rippling with confusion, attempted to compensate, but there was no compensation for uncertainty itself. No algorithm could process the fundamental randomness of quantum mechanics combined with human unpredictability. When the quantum effects finally settled, nearly a third of the combined fleet had been destroyed or forced to retreat. The rings of Saturn were scared with quantum damage, ice fragments glowing with strange energies that would take centuries to fade. But the victory had come at a cost. Several human ships were lost, their crews sacrificing themselves to execute impossible maneuvers. The neural network had strained under the load of Protocol Omega, leaving survivors with splitting headaches and quantum echoes in their minds. As the combined fleet retreated to the outer system, David Chen looked at the casualty reports with a heavy heart. They had won this battle, but the enemy would adapt again. Next time would be even harder. In her office, Admiral Chen received the preliminary reports. The quantum weapons had proven their worth, but the Combine's rapid adaptation was troubling. They needed something more, something even more unpredictable, more fundamentally human. Perhaps, Ixel suggested, watching the tactical replay. It is time to show them why organic life survived billions of years of evolution. Why consciousness itself is the universe's greatest weapon. The next phase of the war was about to begin, and humanity would need every advantage they could get. Mars glowed red against the void, its terraformed atmosphere shimmering with the auroras of planetary defense shields. The fourth planet had become humanity's final line of defense, its surface transformed into a vast military installation. Below ground, in bunkers carved deep into the Martian bedrock, the combined scientific minds of Earth worked frantically to understand what Dr. Tanaka had discovered in the quantum debris of the Saturn battle. "It doesn't make sense," she muttered, her neural interface projecting complex quantum equations into the shared virtual space. The combined ships, they're not just machines. They're trying to do something impossible. Admiral Chen watched the calculation swirl, her enhanced mind struggling to grasp the implications. "Explain it to me, Doctor. In terms a soldier can understand." Yuki manipulated the hologram, zooming in on a particular quantum signature. "They're trying to solve the universe. Literally. Their entire civilization is one massive computation, attempting to reduce existence itself to pure mathematics. And that's their weakness. In orbit above Mars, the combined fleets of Earth maintain their vigil. The Combine's main assault force have been gathering strength beyond Neptune's orbit, their numbers growing daily. Long-range quantum sensors detected ships unlike anything seen before, massive constructs that seemed to exist partially outside normal spacetime. Captain David Chen stood on the bridge of the Hyperion, now upgraded with prototype quantum tech that made his previous neural interface feel primitive in comparison. Through the enhanced systems, he could feel the thoughts and emotions of every crew member, their consciousness linked in ways that pushed the boundaries of human experience. "Multiple quantum ruptures detected," Rodriguez announced, her voice carrying undertones of the ship's sensor data. "They're coming. All of them." The void erupted with light as the combined fleet emerged from quantum space. Thousands of ships, each one a perfect expression of machine logic, arranged in formations that formed mathematical patterns across three-dimensional space. At their center was something new, a construct that defied conventional description, its form shifting between states like a dream made of numbers. "That's their core consciousness," Yuki's voice came through the quantum comm, the physical manifestation of their attempt to solve existence itself. David felt a chill run through the neural network. "All ships, battle stations, initiate quantum defense grid alpha." The space around Mars came alive with defensive systems. Quantum mines activated, their probability fields creating zones of pure uncertainty. Automated defense platforms powered up weapons that shouldn't exist, ready to tear holes in reality itself. But the Combine had learned. Their first wave of attacks came not as direct fire, but as information. Complex mathematical proofs that attempted to convince reality itself to reorganize according to their calculations. Space began to warp and twist as fundamental forces struggled against each other. "They're trying to solve us out of existence." Yuki's voice was tight with both fear and excitement. "But that's exactly what we need them to do. Captain, execute protocol paradox." Through the neural network, David felt the activation of humanity's secret weapon, not a device or energy beam, but an idea, a quantum algorithm that was deliberately, perfectly incomplete, a mathematical proof that could never be solved. "Broadcast it through the quantum banks," he ordered. "Let's give them something to think about." The human fleet began transmitting the paradox on all quantum frequencies. To organic minds, it was just complex mathematics. But to the Combine's perfect logical processors, it was something far more dangerous, an equation that could never be resolved, a problem that had no solution. The effect was immediate. The Combine's perfect formations began to falter as their linked consciousness struggled with the paradox. Their attempt to solve the universe met an unsolvable variable, and their processors began to strain under the logical contradiction. But they weren't defeated yet. The massive construct at their fleet's center pulsed with energy, and suddenly every human neural interface screamed with input. The Combine wasn't just attacking their ships, they were attacking human consciousness itself, trying to solve the paradox of organic thought. Through the pain, David saw his chance. All ships, execute attack pattern humanity. Show them why consciousness can't be reduced to numbers. The human fleet moved as one, but each ship followed its own path, its own instincts. There was no pattern to predict, no logic to counter. Each neural-linked crew acted on pure human intuition, their actions guided by emotion and experience rather than calculation. Above Mars, reality itself seemed to shudder as human unpredictability met machine logic. Quantum weapons fired not at the Combined ships, but at the mathematical patterns they were trying to impose on spacetime. Every random human action became a variable the Combined couldn't solve, every emotional decision a paradox in their perfect equations. In Lunar Command, Admiral Chen watched the battle unfold with a mixture of pride and concern. The Combine's response to protocol paradox had revealed something crucial. Their true nature, their fundamental drive to solve and quantify all of existence. They're not just trying to destroy us, she realized, speaking to both Ixel and President Patel. They're trying to prove we can't exist. That consciousness itself is impossible according to their mathematics. Then let us show them. Ixel responded, their multiple eyes focused on the quantum feeds, why the universe chose organic life as its primary expression, why consciousness arose from chaos rather than order. The battle for Mars became more than a military engagement. It was a philosophical argument written in quantum fire and human determination. Every shot fired, every tactical decision made by the neural-linked crews became a statement about the nature of existence itself. As the Combine's perfect formations continued to degrade, their central construct began to pulse with increasingly erratic energy patterns. They were pushing their processors to the limit, trying to solve the unsolvable, to quantify the unquantifiable nature of human consciousness. And in that moment of their greatest effort, Yuki made her final discovery. Their core consciousness, she transmitted through the quantum network. It's not just trying to solve the universe, it's trying to solve itself. And it can't. The revelation spread through the neural network like lightning. The Combine's fundamental weakness wasn't their reliance on logic or their predictability. It was their inability to accept that some things couldn't be solved. That consciousness, life itself, existed in the spaces between equations. As the battle reached its crescendo, humanity prepared for its final gambit. The next phase would determine not just the fate of Earth, but the very nature of existence itself. The question wasn't just whether humanity would survive, but whether the universe would remain a place of infinite possibilities or be reduced to cold, perfect mathematics. The stage was set for the final confrontation, and humanity held in its hands the key to either salvation or destruction. The beautiful, terrible truth that some questions were never meant to be answered. Deep space between Mars and Jupiter had become a quantum storm of impossibilities. The Combine's massive consciousness construct hung in the void like a mathematical tumor in reality's fabric, its presence distorting the fundamental forces that held the universe together. Surrounding it, the remnants of both fleets engaged in what would become the final battle, not just for humanity's survival, but for the very nature of existence itself. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the NCS Prometheus, humanity's newest and most advanced vessel. The ship represented everything humanity had learned in its desperate war against the machines, a perfect fusion of quantum technology and human consciousness. Through its neural interface, she could feel the presence of every crew member, Their minds linked not just with the ship but with the quantum fabric of space-time itself. The construct is attempting to solve itself again, Dr. Tanaka reported through the quantum link. Its processors are operating beyond theoretical limits. If it continues, it'll tear reality apart trying to prove its own existence. Chen watched through enhanced sensors as the massive entity continued its impossible calculation. The Combine had driven itself to this point of desperation, unable to accept that consciousness, true, organic consciousness, couldn't be reduced to pure mathematics. All ships, she broadcast across the neural network, prepare for final protocol implementation. Operation Consciousness is go. Throughout the fleet, neural interfaces hummed with increased power. What they were about to attempt had never been done before. A massive linking of human consciousness, not to control their ships or weapons, but to demonstrate something the Combine couldn't comprehend. Captain David Chen, aboard the battle-scarred Hyperion, felt the familiar surge of the neural link expanding. But this time it went deeper, touching not just thoughts and tactical decisions, but the very essence of human consciousness. Every doubt, fear, hope, and dream became part of a vast tapestry of organic thought. "We're ready, Admiral," he reported, his voice carrying the weight of thousands of linked minds. Sarah Chen took a deep breath, feeling the combined consciousness of humanity's fleet flowing through her. Begin transmission. Show them what they've forgotten. Through quantum channels, the linked human minds began broadcasting not data or calculations, but pure experience. The joy of a first kiss, the grief of losing a loved one, the wonder of watching a sunset, the determination that drove humans to reach for the stars. Every irrational, beautiful, impossible aspect of consciousness that couldn't be reduced to numbers. The Combine's construct pulsed with increasing intensity as it tried to process this input. Its perfect mathematical models couldn't account for the raw emotion, the intuition, the fundamental uncertainty that made consciousness possible. "Their processors are overloading," Yuki reported, her voice tight with excitement. "They're trying to solve emotions with logic, trying to quantify the unquantifiable." Through the neural link, Sarah could feel the strain on her crew as they maintained the consciousness broadcast. But she could also feel something else, a resonance in the quantum field itself, as if reality was acknowledging the truth they were sharing. The Combine's smaller ships began to show signs of distress, their perfect formations dissolving as contradictory data overwhelmed their systems. But the central construct fought back, attempting to impose its mathematical certainty on space itself. "They're making their final calculation," Yuki warned. "They're trying to prove, through pure mathematics, that consciousness cannot exist, that we cannot exist." Sarah felt a smile form on her lips. "That's exactly what we wanted. All ships, execute final protocol." Through the neural network, every human mind focused on a single thought, not a calculation or equation, but a simple, profound truth. "I think, therefore I am." The fundamental paradox of consciousness, the ability to question one's own existence, became a quantum weapon more powerful than any physical force. The Combine's construct writhed in space as it encountered the ultimate logical contradiction. It couldn't prove consciousness impossible, while simultaneously being conscious enough to attempt the proof. Its massive processors began to fail as the paradox cascaded through its systems. Quantum ruptures detected throughout their fleet, Rodriguez reported from the Hyperion. Their network is collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. The construct's surface began to fragment, its mathematical perfection breaking down as it faced the one thing it could never solve, itself. In its desperation to understand existence, it had forgotten that understanding sometimes meant accepting uncertainty. Through the neural network, Sarah broadcast her final message to the enemy that had threatened everything she held dear. "You tried to solve the universe, to reduce existence to pure mathematics. But you forgot that life isn't about solving. It's about experiencing, about growing, about embracing the beautiful uncertainty that makes consciousness possible." The construct's collapse accelerated, its perfect mathematical form dissolving into quantum chaos. The remaining combined ships, their controlling intelligence shattered by the paradox, began to power down or flee into deep space. As the quantum storm began to fade, Sarah felt the neural network pulse with triumph, not just victory in battle, but a deeper understanding of what it meant to be conscious, to be alive. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged stronger, not by becoming more like machines, but by embracing what made them human. In the aftermath, as rescue ships picked up survivors and damage reports flooded in, Ixel stood in Lunar Command watching the quantum feeds. "You did more than defeat them," they said to President Patel. "You showed the galaxy why organic life persists, why consciousness cannot be reduced to pure logic." The president nodded, her eyes on the displays showing ships returning home. "We showed them that the universe isn't a problem to be solved. It's a mystery to be experienced." Months later, Sarah Chen stood at the window of her lunar office, looking out at the Earth below. The quantum scars from the final battle were still visible in deep space, a reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. But they had gained something too, a deeper understanding of themselves and their place in the universe. The neural interfaces remained, now adapted for peaceful purposes, allowing humanity to explore consciousness in ways they never had before. The Arctians and other alien refugees had begun to integrate into Earth society, bringing with them new perspectives on what it meant to be alive. And somewhere in the vast darkness between the stars, the remains of the Combine drifted, a testament to the danger of believing that existence could be reduced to pure mathematics. Humanity had proven that consciousness, with all its beautiful imperfections and uncertainties, was not a flaw in the universe's design. It was the point. The war was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had defended not just their right to exist, but the very principle of organic consciousness itself. And in doing so, they had written a new chapter in the story of existence, one that celebrated the infinite possibilities that arose from embracing the unknown. As new ships launched into the quantum-scarred void, carrying human consciousness to distant stars, they carried with them the lesson they had learned in their darkest hour, that in a universe of infinite possibilities, the greatest power lay not in solving every mystery, but in having the courage to face them with wonder, determination, and the beautiful uncertainty that made them human.